Let's face it, pets are our family. In fact, almost half of all households in the U.S. have a dog. But if there was an emergency, would you know how to take care of your animal? Christine met up with an expert.
Well, I've had dogs my entire life, and yet I have no idea what I would do in a case of an emergency. I think I would, and that's usually calling the vet. But you are here to show us, Joe, how to really keep our eye on our pets and help them in a case of an emergency.
That's right. Pet first aid, just like any first aid, a lot of times it's just common sense. One of the things that we have to understand when it comes to pet first aid for our dogs is that our dogs don't speak to us.
Right.
Despite belief, they can't actually talk to us.
Exactly.
So we want to make sure that we know what's normal for our dog. And in this case, this is Jack.
Hi, Jack.
And this is pretty normal for him. He's pretty chill. He likes to be laying down. His coat looks pretty healthy. And we can tell right away that he's doing okay. But we want to make sure we know what's going on for Jack. And one of the things we'll do is, Jack, roll over, is we can always take our dog's pulse.
For a human, we're what, usually between 60 and 100.
Right.
Is healthy? Okay, so over 100 with dogs.
Yeah, dogs are going to run a little faster. Now, big dogs are going to run slower.
Okay.
Puppies are going to run faster. Cats are going to be banging away at just over 100 to 160.
Okay, so can I test
definitely.
from here?
So you just going to slide your hand in there.
Like
Actually,
there?
Can you turn your hand over? There you
like
go.
That?
Just like that. You feel that little notch right there? And just press it. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So what scenarios would you have to check your dog's pulse?
So definitely if our dog has experienced an injury, we want to know if they're going into shock. Is their pulse, are they still perfusing, sending blood around the body? So we're going to check their pulse. We want to know if the dog has sustained a real serious injury. How are they doing? If they're not responsive, so they've had a heart attack, dogs can have heart attacks, then we were going to look to see, is their heart beating? And we want to know, is their heart beating, and are they breathing? The other thing, Jack is real good, in a good position here. You can see Jack breathe. He's breathing kind of slow. He breathes about 20 times per minute. He's a big, relaxed dog. Yes, we're talking about you. Now, puppies, they're going to be able to pant hundreds of times per minute sometimes. So just knowing how their respirations are, how they're doing breathing, and what their pulse is like can tell us a lot about the overall health of our dog.
Well, you mentioned injuries, and we're going to talk about injuries coming up. I know my dog has kind of hurt her paw pads in the past, so we're going to learn how to deal with that a bit.
Well, Christine is learning about pet safety this morning. Earlier, we showed you how you could check your dog's pulse, but now we're focusing on wrapping their injuries.
So my dog is a hound. She's wrapped everywhere, always hurting her paws. I never knew how to actually wrap them or treat them, but you're here to show us how.
That's right. So when we teach pet first aid, we always talk about emergency action steps of check, call, care.
Okay.
So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check to make sure I can approach the animal safely.
Okay.
I don't want to get bitten.
No.
So even a dog like Jack, who I've had for over 12 years, I'm always going to be careful, because when he's bitten, he's hurting, and he only has a few ways to communicate with me. Sometimes that's by biting. So I'm going to come up to him and say, Jack, what's wrong with your paw, buddy? And now for something like an injury where it's bleeding, I'm going to actually put a muzzle on Jack.
Interesting.
So I'm going to just slip this little muzzle on. He's not a fan of it, really, but this way, if I do something that hurts him, he's not going to bite me.
Makes sense.
Now, we're going to take our gauze, and we're going to just put it on the injured spot. So this could be on the bottom of his paw, it could be on his leg, whatever happens. And then we're going to take this roller gauze, and what you're going to do is you're going to roll it around. And I'm going to let you take over. So all you're going to do is just roll it around and keep rolling. So you start away from his heart, and you go towards his heart. So if he got stabbed by a stick or got bitten by another dog where he's bleeding and there's an open injury, this would help him and control the bleeding. Now, when I take the muzzle off, he's going to want to chew at this. So we'd put the cone of shame on him. And he would then be able to heal and not have a problem.
I love it. All about addressing the problem, being able to help them before you ultimately make it to the vet for other help.
Correct. Direct pressure is going to control the bleeding, and that way you can bandage, and then I could take him to the vet where he might need stitches or other care.
Another big thing we're going to talk about, CPR, something, again, I never thought about with pets. We're going to learn how to do it. So, again, emergency, you can save your loved one.
I just can't get over how calm that dog is. And speaking of dogs and their paws, here's a fun fact for you. Greyhounds are the world's fastest dogs with the ability to reach up to 45 miles per hour. Pet CPR, yes, it can be done. Christine takes us through the life-saving process.
Well, we've officially swapped out Jack because we are doing CPR now, and he probably would enjoy that, being alive and kicking and everything like that.
Right. We don't want to do CPR on someone who can say stop.
Yes, exactly. So CPR with animals, this is a whole new field for me. What do you do?
Sure. Well, animals are laid out differently than humans, so it's going to be similar, but it's not going to be exactly the same because they have to lay on their side.
Yes.
Okay, and ideally we're going to put them on their left side, but if it's a really big dog and they were to collapse on their right side, I wouldn't worry about moving them over.
Yeah.
But because of their anatomy, we like to use their left side.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is the way we find their heart, because they have this big we're going to take and where their elbow is, where it meets the chest. So you're actually going to take Toonsis and just bend Toonsis's leg like that.
I don't have a cat. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
So it's going to be
Here.
right there.
Okay.
And on Fido here, it's going to be right here.
Okay.
So we're going to do 30 chest compressions, just like that. Now, after 30 compressions, we're going to give them 2 rescue breaths.
Okay.
Now, to do that, we're going to use a breathing barrier.
Right.
Because we don't put lips on strangers.
No.
That includes cats and dogs.
Yes,
okay?
exactly.
So what we would do is you can actually put this on their snout.
Does it matter which side? Like
It does. Actually, it'll say this side up.
Oh, all right.
All right, so you're doing great. So you're going to put that right over Kitty's snout.
Okay.
And then you're just going to give Kitty 2 breaths. And when you do that, you'll actually see Kitty's chest
All
rise.
right, I'll turn it this way. This is awkward.
Right, so there you go. Yeah, that's perfect. There you go. You see Kitty get some air? There you go, 2 breaths, and then back to the chest.
Okay. So it's really just like humans.
It is just like humans. We've made it simpler and easier, and it's more effective today than ever before. And then you can have like these keychains, and this would have a breathing barrier and a pair of gloves in it.
Okay.
And then you can also get a keychain like this that just has the breathing barrier, because again, we don't put lips on strangers.
Practice makes perfect. Make sure you get one of these things. Can always be prepared.
That's right.
Cool. We're not done yet. Still some more to go.
So much we can learn not just about our pets, but for our pets. A fun fact, cat whiskers are so sensitive that they can detect the slightest change in air current. All right, well, we've covered a lot this morning when it comes to pet safety, but who knew where you could check your animal's pulse? I know I didn't. Let's check back in with Christine. She has a tip everyone needs to know this time of year especially.
We've talked about some pretty serious stuff when it comes to your animals and saving them in case of an emergency, but there are things that happen every day that we need to be wary of. For example, the temperatures outside, dehydration. I know my dog cannot get enough water at this time.
Right, we want to make sure that animals have plenty of clean water, and we want to make sure that to that all the time.
Yeah.
But they do get easily dehydrated. Their body temperature runs over 100 degrees, and they're wearing a fur coat in the summertime.
Right.
So that gets kind of hard for them. One of the things we can check for them is we can look at their capillary refill. That's how their blood is perfusing around their body.
Okay.
And to do that, we're actually going to look at the pink part of their gums.
Oh, yeah.
And then if I press on this, you'll see how it turns from pink to white to pink again. And so Jack's not a big fan of this necessarily.
I wouldn't
but
be either.
You can see his gums are nice and pink, which means he's getting plenty of perfusion. Blood is moving around the body. So the other thing you can look at is we want to look at their skin, and we want to see if it's tenting. So if I grab a handful of his skin, if I just pinch it a little bit, you'll see how it bounces right back. If it stays up, that's called tenting, and that means that they're not well hydrated.
Really quickly, too, the paw pads when you're walking are so important.
These guys, they do everything through their paws. So they sweat and they get they release heat through here. And in the summertime, that concrete and that asphalt really heats up. So when it's 80 degrees today, it'll be 120 degrees on the concrete. So their paws can get easily burnt. When it gets over 100 degrees, it can be 150 degrees or higher on the asphalt or the concrete. And that'll burn their paws. So making sure we walk them in the grass, and making sure that we rinse them off or help them cool down by rinsing off their paws is a great idea.
Think about your kids hopping from place to place when they don't have any shoes on. That's what they're feeling almost all the time.
Right, times 4.
Yes. Joe, thank you. Great ideas, great life-saving tips. How cool. Things I never even knew, and I've been a dog owner, like I said, my whole life.
Well, it's great to hear.